Computer.
All right.
Hello, everybody. This is Miguel, and this is How Was That Race? Today, we're going to be talking about the Chicago 13.1. Chicago 13.1 is put on by the same people, fine folks that put on the Chicago Marathon. It's Bank of America sponsored. It's a really nice race in Chicago, in Garfield Park area, off the Green Line. For those familiar with the transit system up there, with the red line, green line, blue line, orange line, and so on and so forth. Uh, we're going to be having enjoying the beer feature today is going to be from Hubbard's Cave. It's French toast. It is an imperial stout fermented with cinnamon, maple syrup, vanilla, and lactose. It's coming in at a nice steady 12 ABV. And if I had to put the IBUs, they're not listed, I would put it somewhere around the 20 to 25 range. Very delicious beer, very smooth, very pleasant to enjoy. We're going to give it a 4.5 medals out of 5 on the rating system. So if you're ever in the area, go ahead and check that out. Today we have a rookie and a Hall of Famer on. We're going to start out with the Hall of Famer, Janelle. Janelle and I, we have ran together several times. We ran Chicago Marathon together twice. We've ran the Chicago 13.1 twice, and we met formally at the Brew City Half Marathon in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that was, we might have ran a few other races together, but just
Yeah.
not been fully aware of that.
Yeah. And
Mel-
all of those races were pacing too. Those were not just runs, but we were pacing them. So we were in work mode.
yes, yes, we were. Melinda, she's a little bit newer to the scene. She's coming in as a rookie. And those unfamiliar rookies are those with five or less, around five or so formal half marathons and marathons. That's going to be your rookie. 10 and below is going to be your journeyman status. 10 to 100 is going to be your veteran. And then 100 and above is that's going to be your Hall of Famer status. Melinda's coming in. She's ran 2 marathons and she's ran about 3 half marathons. And we ran together this year, not shoulder to shoulder, but we ran the same race this summer at the Chicago 13.1. How you doing, Melinda?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for being on. So, Melinda, how did you first hear about this race, the Chicago 13.1?
Honestly, I got roped into it because a lot of my friends were signing up. I'm I haven't been in like formal racing for a while, but I've been like running pretty consistently for like most of my life. And I guess I didn't really catch the running like race bug till recently. And yeah, like a lot of my friends just they wanted to do this thing. Like some of them had never run like half marathons before. So they wanted to do this as their first. And then I was like, yeah, sign me up. And honestly, I forgot about it until like 2 weeks before the race. And also it was the day right after my 23rd birthday. So I was just like, oh damn, I like totally forgot about this. I have not really been formally training. And then the day before, I was honestly dreading going. I was like, oh, I have to wake up so early. It's my birthday. I'm going to bed at 8 p.m. I'm so lame. Like, I should be at the club. Like, what am I doing? Um, and then, but like I got my ass up on like race day and like it ended up being great. But I feel like those are usually like, honestly, I feel like 9 times out of 10, like the best races are like the ones that you like are kind of dreading going, and then like you show up and like you feel good and you're like, oh, like this is great. I'm so glad I did this.
There's been a few races I've shown up for and uh not felt up to snuff
Yeah.
necessarily. Janelle, you how did you've ran this at least twice. I don't know how many years it's been
Yeah.
in place.
It's fairly new. It's fairly new. I think it's probably 4 to 5 years in existence.
Oh, okay.
And the nice thing is that they line it up immediately with the Chicago Marathon training calendar.
Oh, okay. There was a documentary which we should have talked about this beforehand. There was a Chicago Marathon documentary where they took new runners and part of their training program involved a half marathon in Chicago. Are you familiar with that
I haven't seen it.
doc? Oh,
Yeah.
I watched it. I think it's called Spirit of the Marathon. It was in 2007 was when it came out.
Okay.
It's a very nice, very inspirational marathon documentary. I wonder if I didn't think about that until just now, and I wonder if that was involved, if that was a race that they ran. Because if you're newer to this to the race scene and you put your name in a hat for the Chicago Marathon, by the way, there's time qualifiers and lottery picks, and then charity bibs. But for the sake of argument, we're going to be talking about the charity bibs for lottery pick on this subject. If you throw your name in a hat, you get drawn for that. You have some people who are newer to racing, so especially if you live in the Chicago area, following the trading program, that would be a nice way to funnel in the Shamrock Shuffle. And then the Shamrock Shuffle is at 8K, I believe. It's earlier in the year, March. Yeah, go figure. And then this. Okay, so we're going in. What? So you got roped into this, Melinda. So do you remember the registration process for that? Did you get a lot of emails between the registration, or was that all a blur at this point?
I definitely did, but to be honest, I feel like my personal email is on so many email lists. Like I'm constantly getting when I ran the SF, like they're still sending me emails from the SF marathon. They're still sending me, like I feel like I'm kind of that person that just ignores all the things like deadline tonight, and I'm like I just ignore it. And then I'm like, ah, shit, the price increased. Like I should have paid attention to the email, but like, you know, um,
Yes, the San Francisco, the SF Marathon, the San Francisco Marathon. I did run that years back in 19. I ran the half, not the full. Don't want to take false credit there. Um, but yes, there was a fair amount of emails from what I recall. But I did unenroll, I believe, from that email list because at a certain point you just get inundated with just too much. Even it's not just one particular race company. It's just if you've been in 30 different events.
Like a whole
Right.
Yeah. Janelle, you as a pacer, typically we sign up a little bit later or we get registered a little bit later. I believe they use the same process for registration as they do for Chicago. So it's kind of I believe it's Haku is the
that one.
The app or the software system. Yeah. Or I want to say it's Tingy or something. It's the same one as New York too. But so the registration was super easy for me and, for you, of course. But I'm curious for Melinda how the race packet pickup went.
Yes. How was? Okay, so we're going through. You get your confirmation emails. You go to where was the? Do you recall where the expo is, and how was the expo?
Okay, this can be bad because I'm like new to Chicago this year, so I actually have no idea about the geography of Chicago. All I know is that it took me to a place I've never been before.
Perfect. That was the point.
I was like, where am I going? Yeah, the expo, it was in like I remember there was like a fleet there near,
Fleet Feet.
Yeah, there was a Fleet Feet there.
Was it in like more of an expo hall? Was it more of in like a community building?
It was near like a shopping mall type area. I remember it was like not like in the direct like metropolitan area of Chicago. It was like sort of on the side.
Okay.
I feel like there was a landmark near it that if I were more of a local, I could probably name. But I'm not, so.
Was it easy though? Were you able to like get parking and just walk in, or was it like Chicago challenging?
Parking was I can't say that parking in Chicago is ever easy. I think I illegally parked at a Target and I was just praying that I was not going to get a ticket. And so I just did that and then I ran in to get my packet. The packet pickup was pretty like, I would say it was pretty fast. Like I think it was open for like 2 days or something. So like there weren't a lot of lines or anything. I kind of just got in and got out. I didn't really linger at the expo for too long because not at a place where I could be dropping a bunch of money on a bunch of like merch. So I was like, I better
That's
not.
fair.
Now,
Fair and wise.
but they did have plenty of items available. Because the one thing
Yeah.
I always, because the one thing I always go to is I've forgotten my shorts before. I was on the airplane on the in Indiana still, and I sat there and I went through the inventory in my head all of a sudden. And I was like, I'd never packed my shorts. So that was before I did Salt Lake City Desert.
Commando running it is.
That would be Shape City. But those race photos would be something else. Uh, but so the one thing I always want to know is, are there, if you showed up and say you lost your luggage, would you be able to get shorts, maybe a pair of shoes, your fuel, maybe a water bottle? Are those things available
Oh,
at
yeah,
the expo?
100%. They had all those things. I believe like it was centered inside the feet fleet. So like they had like everything.
Oh,
And they had like everything, not only just like stuff you could buy, but like branded with like Chicago 13.1 too, if you wanted like um
now
yeah.
do you recall if that was fairly accessible for public train? The Chicago Marathon, especially the Chicago Marathon itself and the Chicago 13.1, it's right off the green line. So if you're coming from O'Hare's the blue line, Midway is the red line. No, orange line. Midway's the orange line, O'Hare's the blue line. They come from the north and south of the city, kind of. And if you go west, there's two different lines to go west. But for the sake of argument, we're going to talk about the green line and the Chicago 13.1. You could take that to Garfield Park and get right off the green line, and you're right there at the race area. Uh, do you happen to remember if the
Right. I
expo
just
was?
looked it up. Is that the Roosevelt collection?
Oh, that's about the blue line.
Oh, okay.
No, no,
So
no,
I'm
no.
like
I was thinking of the Rosemont Center. I'm sorry.
Roosevelt collection shops.
Oh, I know this. This is
Near
kind of Soldier Field area.
yeah, there's a Dearborn Park. I remember I didn't, so I drove there, but I doesn't look like it's very public transit friendly. I'm like trying to do it right now. Let's see.
Oh, oh,
Although I don't know if that's could just be me. Oh, actually, I
oh.
think you could take it off the red line.
Roosevelt Collection. I know exactly where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
That's
like
at
a Whole Foods.
that's at 14th and Roosevelt.
Yeah.
The Whole
Yeah.
Foods is across the river. I'm gonna edit this part out probably.
Okay.
I almost lived there.
That's so
Oh,
cool. That's a
It
cool
says-
area.
So
Yeah.
from where I am, I take the red line or purple line down. So it says like off the red line, it's like a 17-minute walk. So it's a little bit far from like a transit. I do remember it was kind of off the freeway.
The Roosevelt. Well, you could take if you take the red line, the orange line, or you're really right there because you're if you go to Roosevelt and State.
Okay.
Roosevelt and State, there's a Jewel Osco there. You come from either above ground or below ground, and you're on Roosevelt. Then you go from 12 Roosevelt and State. You go like 5 blocks, and you could catch a 12th bus if you want to. So this part might stay in just because the reason being, Chicago has the unique factor of public transit. So for those who are wanting to come in from out of state and don't want to rent a car, if you want to stay downtown or downtown-ish, for those that live in Chicago, downtown is one area, and for those that don't live in Chicago, downtown is a bigger area. It's just when you're a local, things change. Wherever you're from, I'm sure you have a similar, oh, that's not the riverfront. The riverfront's actually here, or whatever the case would be. So, okay, so you can take that fairly easy with public transit. It won't be the bus line directly there. You won't get off the train and step foot in there, but it is doable.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, if you're going to run 13.1 miles, you're not going to mind walking about 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's in Chicago, especially with the lights and everything, that's less than a mile.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, that's not bad at all. And plus, there's a Whole Foods right across the street there, and
Right.
there's a movie theater, I believe. I
Yeah,
believe
there's
there's
an
a
AMC there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that has really good food in there. So like, go watch a movie first, and then go get your bib and make a whole day of it. Okay. Oh gosh, that place is
But I'm glad you brought that up about public transportation because that's a huge element for not just Chicago races, but I would say any city that has public transportation um, and a level of tourism. That races exist for a reason. It's not just for athleticism. It's to bring in and boost the economy. And that's what they're hoping to do with tourism. We got international people coming for these races, especially for the Chicago Marathon. So the fact, and I'll be honest, it is a little embarrassing. I've lived in Chicago the majority of my life. And since they switched over to the Ventra app, I no longer take public transportation and I'm probably intimidated now. But I'll go to a foreign country and I'm capable of learning new things. So weird.
I'll have to go and start calling you a Luddite, which I would be cautious of offending Luddites, but they're probably not listening to the podcast.
I'm gonna have to Google.
uh, I don't want to get it wrong on record, so I'm not going to say exactly what Luddites are.
Perfect.
Yes.
Everyone will Google.
I literally just looked it up because I was like, what are they talking about?
Okay, we're going through. You got your expo, you pick up your bib, you
Mhm.
pick up your nutrition or things like that if you need your nutrition. You go watch a movie. So that all happens. Did they? Do you recall if they offered same day packet pickup?
They don't. I distinctly remember that because I'm really lazy and I would always want to do it the day of because I don't like leaving my house. But I do remember that I had to do it before. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say a
It was,
lot of the larger races don't allow day of pickup.
I mean, I think that makes sense. It just seems like it would be way too complicated or like, yeah.
Right.
I've seen there's a race that I do, Monumental, which I mentioned in a lot of episodes. I'm gonna try to do something with that. There, as far as like all 8 listeners have a group meetup or something like that, maybe at Sun King Brewery because that's where I go to after the race. But this year, Monumental is offering same day packet pickup during registration. However, it is a $40
Oh,
cost,
wow.
Oh,
which yeah, it's not insignificant by any means. However, it's to provide a okay, this is not me speaking for them. I've never spoken to them on this. This is just my general knowledge of how race directors sometimes think.
Mhm.
It's they're trying to provide a service that people want, but they're trying to deter a lot of people from signing up, too many people from signing up for it.
Right.
So it's a balance between a service that's desired versus um, a service that is unnecessary.
Right. Right.
So if you live in Indianapolis and you get off work at 3 p.m., let's just say and Monumental has, I think, a Thursday and Friday expo. So you have a little more opportunity if you're a local. However, if you're flying in, especially if you're flying in from the West Coast, then run strong run. Hashtag run strong run. Maybe she'll join us sometime. I got her on an episode the other day, and I'm so happy for that. But I'm trying to
Nice.
convince her to come over, and she's on the West Coast. So if you're flying from the West Coast to Indiana, it's difficult to get here early. So having that late packet pickup, if you was to fly out at say 3 or 4, and you arrive here at 11 or midnight, then you can check into a hotel, get a little couple hours sleep, and then you can wake up and get your packet. And yes, there's a cost occurred with that, but it's if that $40 cost wasn't there, your other option was to either leave an extra day early or not do the race at all.
Hmm.
And some races have mailings. Do you know if Um, I don't think this race does mailings either.
I'm pretty sure they do not.
Mm.
Okay, so as we go now, Janelle and I, we've driven there together. Last year, this year we drove together. She trusted me for some strange reason, and we drove and we were able to find surface parking, free surface
Uh-huh.
parking.
Free street parking. It was like amazing.
That's
Yes.
crazy. I almost never find that.
We
Now,
got there early though. We were hella early.
yes, we were there probably an hour and a half, I believe,
Hmm.
maybe earlier. Now they do offer shuttle parking. I forget where you would park at. It's a not too far away. I believe it's a university, a nearby
Yeah,
university.
US.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now is that how you got there?
No, so since I said that my friends and I were doing it together, we all just split an Uber because we were like live pretty close to each other.
Okay. So there's plenty of different ways to get there. If you are commuting, if you're driving in and you're doing the shuttle, I would definitely arrive early. It's and then also if you are driving in and you're trying to find that surface parking, for some strange reason, all the roads around there are closed. I don't know why.
Mhm.
That's what our Uber driver said. He was like, "Where is everyone going? Why is everyone going to this place?" Like, and we're like, "Oh, it's the Chicago half." And he's like, "Oh, that's why." Like,
Yeah, it does make things different. Now, Janelle, you're familiar with the Chicago Marathon. You've ran that several times. Chicago
Mhm.
Marathon, 45,000 runners, give or take. This one, how would you compare the corral, the spacing, the the start of the race compared to a race that's very large?
I would say this was almost half. At least it felt like it. The streets that we were on were much more narrower, and they had smaller medians that were disrupting the road. So the space was not completely covered with human bodies the way it is like for the Chicago Marathon in the beginning of the corrals. But it was packed. It was elbow to elbow. And I would say if I had to give a good description, it would be a great prep run for experiencing what the Chicago Marathon would be like.
I would agree with that. Having run both, I would
Hmm.
definitely agree with that. There is it's a different feeling if you're used to a half marathon or marathon where there's 500, maybe 1,000 runners at the start line. Yeah. If it's 500 runners and it's a two-lane road, it's different than when it's 45,000 runners. Even if it's on, I believe Columbus starts out as a 6-lane road or 4-lane road.
4 lane for sure.
Okay. Yeah, it goes from four. I mean, even that alone is going to be a large difference than what you're familiar with. So if you get into Chicago, New York, um, I'm sorry, Chicago, New York, I can't speak for Disney. I haven't ran Disney. I have friends who have, but these larger races, probably even Boston,
Hmm.
getting familiar with that different environment, that different race
Right.
environment. Melinda, what would you say about the spectators and everything near the start, along the way?
what do you mean about spectators? Like,
Was it okay? Was there? Well, that this race takes okay. So it starts in a park,
hmm
so it doesn't take place necessarily in a trailhead or a multi-use trail, but you're quickly in neighborhoods.
yeah.
So as far as along the course, at the beginning of the course, uh, was it? Did you remark that there's more or less spectators and people with the posters and was it because I remember when I ran Chicago in 19, one the first 5 miles I started to get bottlenecked because
Hmm.
the spectators were on the road and there's actually for the Chicago Marathon there's a blue line that's the that's the tangent, that's the shortest line from the start to the finish with the curves and turns and all that, and the spectators were actually past the blue line by about 8 feet. So there's all these runners, and instead of us having 4 lanes of traffic, we're now down to 2.5 lanes of traffic.
Right. Because they're encroaching.
because everybody's trying to look over the other person's shoulder and
Mhm.
see the runners approaching. Did you experience that much, or did you even notice that much with this
I don't
13-1?
feel like there was a big bottleneck, but I will say that I think that there were like pretty consistent spectators throughout the entire course. I don't know if you would agree, Janelle. Like it's
Yeah.
like, and also I think the way that the course is designed, you go, I don't exactly remember where, but like you pass the same area like at least more than once. And so like it's not like so spread out where like I've heard people say like, for example, like Houston, it's like there are dead zones where people just can't access that part of the course. It seems like there were at least like people in like almost every portion of the course.
Yeah. I'm always impressed with Chicago races, like the ones that actually take place in Chicago proper. There's always friends and family that are out there, like really support. Like, I'm a little salty because my family's never done that, but I'm always like, wow, the whole family came out. That's
Yeah.
amazing. But in regards to bottlenecking, I will say it was not as bad as the full marathon, but it was not easy. It was crowded enough that we all had to watch each other's footing so that we didn't scrape up against the back of the other person's shoe or trip over them. As a pacer, I have the stick and I use it wisely and liberally to like make space. And I know that it creates like this fan of opening for the guys that are with me to stay with me because it gets so hard to jostle and maneuver between everyone. It gets so crowded. And I will, this is something distinctly Chicago, and I'm sure elsewhere too, but Melinda, I know you had your headphones on when we were running together, but do you remember me telling the story about the cycling guardian pole?
Honestly, I don't think I heard anything. Like I was just
That's
really
okay.
like blasting EM. Like
She was in go mode.
no,
But
no.
the first time I did this race, it was my first time experiencing this particular West Side neighborhood. And it's great because there's bicycle lanes. You can tell that there's like a revival happening in this community. They're really, full on having like complete street dynamics happening. So one of those things include a barrier pole that is kind of like a construction cone, just straight up that guards,
Okay.
kind of prevents cars from going into and sneaking over the edge to hit a cyclist. It's awesome, except when you're running and you can't see 3 feet in front of you. And so the first time I ran it, I got a really rude awakening right in the cooter. And I swear, I wasn't even sure if it was flexible. I thought it was just a really firm pole. And it happened, and I'm like, I'm going down right in the cooter. And so I warned everybody about that this year. And I did see a couple people go down. So I've tried to point it out as much as I could. And, there's no easy way around it. Um, the city of Chicago is not going to remove those just for this race and then put them back. So you just have to be mindful of it. It's a hazard that we have not experienced in the full marathon.
I will say, coming from the experience of having run this race myself, when I couldn't get my mile markers up, but I believe you're around mile 8, and you're crossing over Grand, and you're going into Humboldt Park. So for those unfamiliar with it, you're at mile 8. Let's just call it that. You enter that section, and it's only a 2-lane road, and it's an out and back. And that's also where the cheer zone is for a lot of charities and such. A lot of charities and organizations are there, and they're they're not in the way. I'm not saying that they're in the way. I don't want to put it out there that's what I'm trying to get at, but they're there, and it's a tunnel of noise, which is awesome if you can handle that, which I can. So I'm having a great time. The only problem I have is that for that section, it's roughly a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile each way. You're reduced from 4 lanes or 3 lanes down to, I think yeah. It's 2 lanes because normally there's 2 lanes of traffic, automotive traffic. So you're reduced to that 2 lanes of traffic, and there's a lot of runners, and you're trying to make space, and basically in that section for that half to 3/4 of a mile, don't pass. Just 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 stay behind somebody, stay with somebody. You just don't worry about your time right then because that's a horrible place to try to make up time. There are a lot of out and backs on that course.
Right.
But they're separated by boulevards. Daniel Burnham, when he designed the city, he loved boulevards. Well, he always loved boulevards, but he also designed the city.
I love that you're mentioning Daniel Burnham. That's awesome.
I have one of his quotes tattooed on my arm.
Oh my God.
So, so the out and backs, they're there, but they're not. You're not down one lane and back up the other lane. You're down one side of the boulevard, you cross over, you're up the other side of the boulevard. So it does create, and there's more shade that way because the boulevards have that shade. So it's a
Mhm.
little more shaded than um, a lot of races might.
Right. Which is, I would say, a significant difference, Chicago versus the Schaumburg half marathon or full marathon. It's so much sun exposure. But it's really just a highlight to be able to show off the city of Chicago, go into neighborhoods you haven't explored yet, hear the music. It's very lively, I would say.
Now, Melinda, you've ran trail races, you ran trail ultras actually, which we didn't get into in the intro. Compared to compared to your trail ultra, or compared
I
to
think he said torture, but
your or compared to San Francisco SF Marathon, how would you, as far as, I mean, for those unfamiliar with Chicago, if you happen to be, what would you put on the hilliness or the rolling hills or the rolling, uh, I don't know what they call it.
elevation.
Yeah, what
Like
the elevation probably.
0, -1. Like as like I feel like because I've experienced like so much elevation, like there was no I felt like it felt like there was no elevation, but there was like I think my Strava said like total was like 30 feet or something, which is basically 0. I truly never felt like I was running up or down a hill. I think there was one bridge. I remember I pointed out, I was like, it was like slight incline, but yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's like a universal thing, but I think if you come from like running like a true elevation, especially I grew up in like the Bay Area and you see those like massive hills, like Chicago is so flat.
I like to call it skateboard flat.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, there's no, I believe the Chicago Marathon itself is around 180 or 200 feet of elevation.
And
Eh,
that's the overpasses.
yeah, I think 40 of that is Mount Roosevelt near 25.8 to 26.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing there. It's really a flat course. So you're able, if you don't have that hill training going on and whatnot coming into this race, don't fret.
Yeah,
Don't let it stop you.
it's pretty flat. And it's so interesting to get your perspective, Melinda, because I'm around the Midwest Chicagoland area. This is the only place I really run at, and I seek the incline. So I go to like Morton Arboretum to get some hilly spaces or whatever, and try to get those quads nice and strong. And so I'll even coach while we're pacing. We got an incline coming up, so we're gonna lift those knees, we're gonna pump those arms, and we're gonna lean forward. And I could just see Melinda's like practically smoking a cigarette, like whatever, girl.
That you did that when we ran together last time, and
Yeah,
it was
that's
like it's like gradual hill, and I was like, was this really necessary? Like,
it's just like instinct for me for my Midwestern friends.
so the so the eight
Melinda was like a little goat, though. She was just like boom, 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 boom.
so the aid stations. How were I remember the aid stations, they were pretty long. This race being affiliated with the Chicago Marathon formally, or being presented by the same organization, and I believe it is affiliated formally.
yeah.
The aid stations, how were they, Janelle?
Oh my gosh. Can I tell you? They were handing out Mortons,
Oh
the
yeah.
gels. Yeah. if I were to give anyone a hot tip, Chicago, apparently 13.1 and the full is pretty generous with their goos during the race. And I always take a couple more than at least more than one, and I'll just stuff them all in my bra just so I can keep because it's like $3.
I didn't take it during the race. I was like, I'm gonna save this for later.
Right. But they come in handy. And I mean, we paid a lot for the race, and hopefully, we're not, being, total jerks by people who are running a little slower, not getting enough stuff, by the time we pass through, by the time they pass through. But it is probably the highlight. And I bring my own water vest, so I don't drink the Gatorade. I don't, enjoy any of the other givings. But if there's a gel, it's mine. It is absolutely mine.
I will say, in my experience, I've never had them in the Chicago races. I'll qualify it there because there's too many to try to remember. With the Chicago races, I've never ran out of gels. However, when I did the 13.1 at mile 10 or so or 9, there's supposed to be bars like meal bar or something like that, and they didn't have those.
Oh yeah, I was like, I don't remember them giving.
I don't remember that.
It's when you're okay. So you go through that out the cheer zone. We'll call it the cheer zone, and you're on the north side, and you're doing a long right hand sweeping turn, and there's a lake to your right or a pond or depending on where you live, depends on what you call that. There's a body of water to your right, and you're doing a nice long right hand sweeping turn, and I think you're in Humboldt Park at that point. And there was supposed to be Martin, some type of food bar, but both years I've done it as a pacer, neither year have they had anything there, or neither year have they had the food there. They had the signage up, but not the.
So you think they ran out?
That's my best guess. However, now speaking to you two, because it sounds like you all didn't experience it either. So maybe
I'm pretty sure there was no like actual food, just only gels.
I remember the gels. I don't remember the bars, but I don't always stop at every, when you're pacing, you kind of slow down and encourage people to take stuff. But because I have my vest on and I have my own nutrition, I'm, for the most part, not really taking stuff unless it's a Morton's gel.
When I did the Chicago Marathon in 22, at the beginning before the race started, they had blackberry endurance gel by Gatorade, and they had caramel apple.
Ooh, that sounds yummy.
And I have never seen that available for sale.
Wow.
I've only seen that at the Chicago Marathon at the corrals. So
wow.
I don't know what happened.
I've never seen food in the corrals.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you've always been a pacer.
Yes, I know.
This is not on the concrete. This is in the lawn section. So where the porta pot, you're not at the porta potties, but where the porta potties and you stand around and all that area, there's grass and there's trees and there's large, because for the Chicago Marathon, I suppose they do not always allow water to come through the security. So you got to have an empty water bottle. But then once you get inside, they have sources of water. We'll just summarize it with that. And so with the sources of water and everything else, they also have pallets of Gatorade endurance gel.
Wow.
And that's where I found the blackberry and the caramel apple. But I only saw it in 22, and I only saw it there, and I've actually looked on the Gatorade website and was not able to buy it. I couldn't find it.
I bet that these were packaged items that did not make the mark, and then they were discontinued, and they already had to produce it, and they were like, give it to the monkeys. Let's just go. Don't eat anything.
Gatorade, if you're listening, by all means, shoot me a DM. I'll send you an address. We can get this happening. I'm not sponsored by Gatorade by any means. I'm not sponsored by. I'm sponsored by Miguel. That's what I'm
Right,
sponsored
right.
by.
So, one thing I do want to chat about is the pacing experience because you and I paced the same race, but it was a different speed. And this race, the 13.1, is the exact race that how Melinda and I met. And now we're running buddies. So it's awesome. She's 23. I'm going to be 46 in a minute. And it's like she's the best running partner ever. We just like chat, chat, chat. And she's like, go, go, go. And I had no idea that she was going to be my new running daughter.
Yeah, I have to thank my stalking skills. I had to like
Yeah.
track her down on the internet. I LinkedIn messaged her.
Yeah. I was like, oh my
Crazy.
God.
Hey, I have friends, the married sisters. I'm gonna have them on later on a pod, and we met at Tulsa Route 66 Marathon by taking a shot ski, and one of them tracked me down because they was like, "Hey, do you have that photo?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. Here you go." And we had chit chatted during the race, anyways, and now we're doing one or two races together this year, and we did one race together last year. So I mean, this community of running and pacing,
Mhm.
uh, it just it's pretty awesome in that aspect, I believe. The so okay, back to the race and back
Okay.
to so race course. We're going along. It's flat, skateboard flat. There's a couple of bottlenecks, but not anything that's excessive in my opinion. It's just two areas, one area twice. You're coming in, you can kind of see the finish. You make a left and you make a left and you're coming into the finish corral. How did you feel about the Janelle? You've ran you've ran it before. You've ran big races and smaller races. How did you feel about the finishing chute that area?
I don't remember it being a standout. Usually at that point, I'm paying attention to the group that's with me or still with me or maybe not with me. And if you're still with me, I'm encouraging you to pick up the pace and go. So I'm not really observing the finishing shoot exact. Unless, I do that when I'm solo running. So that doesn't stand out in my mind. So there wasn't fireworks or anything like that.
Melinda, what about do you remember this?
I do remember the finish. This was actually I had like left the because I wanted to like pick up the last mile. And so I literally have tapped. I was like, "What's your name?" And so I was like, "I can find you afterwards." Um, but I feel like what I distinctly remember about the finish is that like the portion where you can see the finish line is like short. Like I feel like I like my watch, I was like, oh, this is like we're almost done. But then like you had to turn and I feel like it was probably like, I don't know, maybe like 200 meters or less where you could like see. But I remember like feeling like I was almost done for like a lot longer before I
Yeah.
could actually see the finish. And it was like very irritating when you're like running at like top speed and you're like, where is the damn line?
Right.
So that is like I feel like the one thing that I recall.
That is a very good point because with that, like we keep referencing Chicago Marathon, but it's kind of difficult not to, especially with this race. From the Chicago Marathon, you can kind of see the 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 corral, and you can see the archway off to the side as you're coming up the Mount Roosevelt there or Roosevelt Drive. So you can see the finish, and it is pretty clear where it is. But yes, on this one, the you feel or I felt the finish line, but it was like, where is it? Like
Yeah, exactly. That's what I felt the entire time.
And it did start to get hot. So
Yeah.
it was feeling longer. I do remember that.
Yes.
And as a pacer, we're like looking at the watch at the numbers and trying to like cross that threshold within a certain allotted time. Because if we go a second beyond in either direction, we would be deemed on probation. And I remember my pace partner actually left us. I was like, where'd he go? Like, I don't know if he was calculating something else, but he was like, boom. And I came in on time, but it was so interesting to have such a nice large group because the temperature in the morning was ideal. It really was. And it warmed up towards the end, but I would say the majority of our group really stuck together. They did amazing.
That's awesome.
What was your group like, Miguel?
Oh, last year my group was it was really good. I came in and I shucks, I feel horrible because I cannot remember her name. My co-pacer. I feel so horrible that I cannot remember her name. But her and I had an issue, and my issue was that both of us were high energy,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, it
both
was
of
Karen. Was it Karen?
yes,
Okay.
Karen's yeah. I don't want to say her last
Swanson.
name.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think I haven't asked. I don't think she'd have a huge problem with it. But if anybody looked up, they whatever. But Karen, and I told her that when I was at Chicago because she paced Chicago Marathon as well. Very, very, very good pacer. But we 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 bumped heads, and I wasn't having the best of day because she was such a good pacer and she was so much full of energy that I had to take a back seat,
Mm.
which
And you feed
obviously
off other people's energy in that exchange.
yes. But we came in and we had fairly even splits, fairly even time. I actually I'll go ahead and mention this year. This year, my race did not go as planned. The night before, whatever happened, and my stomach turned. My stomach wasn't where it should have been, and my I started the race on empty. And from the first half mile, I knew it was going to be a long day,
Mm.
and and it was. However, I did the best I could. I stepped to my intervals like I knew I should, and I did the best performance I could do. And despite the fact that I was no longer pacing on time and I was behind, I finished 7 minutes behind my pace, which is significant for me, or for, yeah, especially for a half. There was this guy, and he saw me and he saw that I wasn't having a good day either. But he was like, "Come on, coach." And I was like, "Huh?"
Oh,
And he was like, "I've been following your intervals for the last 4 miles." I said, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, we've been behind you." And I looked behind me, and there was like 4 or 5 people that
oh.
were still with me. So even though my day was not where it should have been, and I was no longer on time, and they knew I was no longer on time, I had broken my stick and gotten rid of it. It happens, unfortunately, but I was still able to encourage and be a guide for others, which when I ran Chicago Marathon in 2022, I was just a runner and I ended up having a pace group. Like,
Right.
and Janelle, I'm sure if you line up at a race, there's probably a good chance you're going to end up having a pace group, even if you're just there. You're wearing your old little shirt. You're not wearing a pacer
Mm-mm.
shirt. You don't have a sign, but you end up. People see you and they see your timing and they see the smile on your face,
Oh
whatever.
no, different. I don't
Oh,
talk to anybody. Got my headphones in. I'm like, I have sunglasses on. If I know you, I'm like, hey, but no, like if it's my race, it's my race. I've got my own goals, and I don't elbow everybody.
You're the
Yes,
one.
because even during this particular race, Mel, I wasn't always sure whether she was with us or just happened to be with us,
No, I was
but I
like
could tell.
follow you the entire time. Like
And so eventually I learned her name and I would even call out. I'm like, Melinda, show yourself. And, I don't even know if she could hear me, but someone would be like,
no,
she's
I know
over
you
there.
I was like, what? Like this
They
was
just like,
actually the first time in a race that I had like actually run with a pacer. Like the like everything else I'm just like raw dog myself. So I
and
highly
it's hard. That is hard.
no, I know it was significantly easier.
It's definitely nice not to have to look at your watch and just like follow the goalpost or whatever. It's definitely a gift. But I will say, um, running with you was she didn't talk, Miguel. She didn't talk.
No.
She
I
didn't
talked.
talk.
Well, she was focused. She was listening to music. She was just boom, like doing her thing. But I could tell that she was with us. And it was like she was, when we scaled back, she scaled back. Like there was this, you know, tangible yo-yo that was, you know, cohesive. And it was awesome. I mean, I would say this 13.1 is probably one of my favorites. Um, I wish that my pacing partner and I were paired up better, that we were synced up a little bit better, which is a shame because I've run with people that don't even speak English. And by the end of the day, like we're like high-fiving each other and hugging. And so I didn't know what happened with this guy, but you know, it just, yeah, go ahead.
I will say there are certain people that I'm not allowed to pace with, and I think you would be one of them. And Peter, him and I had him on the pod for the Air Force Marathon. Him and we've agreed that we cannot pace together just because we are both, and you and I are both high energy people.
Mm.
And I think it would be awesome to pace together, but I also think it'd be horrible to pace together because we would both just maybe for a 5K, maybe that energy level,
Yeah.
but like it would be too much energy for, yeah.
People wouldn't know who to listen to.
I bet if you talk to Jill, she was on the podcast about the Eugene Marathon. She'd probably say, don't listen to Miguel. But her and oh,
I was going to say the one thing about this 13.1, and I'm sorry to interrupt you about
no.
pacing, but
Get it back on.
I was really fascinated and amazed and impressed that they had somewhat of like a expo after the race.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
brilliant. And they should do that more. They should do that at Chicago because how many of us have been at the Chicago Marathon and have like decided, you know what, I don't want to spend $100 and something on that shirt and then regret it and want it after the race, or someone allow your family member to buy it for you for doing it, or you know, it was so smart for them to do that. They were even selling shoes, I think.
Nike has a booth or a truck. They have like a food truck, kind of that size vehicle,
Yeah.
and they have a display area, and you can try on shoes and such. They're there. They have different breweries, or they have different distilleries there. They have different food vendors there. You can get your different slushies and your. They don't have a Portillo's there. I wish they did. But they don't have a Portillo's, and they don't have they I think they have a pizza place, but they have the hidden gem of Chicago thin crust pizza. Everybody knows about the deep dish, which no Chicagoan really eats deep dish pizza. It's a joke.
It's true.
Just
It's true.
we got you. The thin crust. Oh,
Like the Malort of pizza.
Yeah.
Just make other people eat it.
Right. I think that's true.
oh gosh. If you all have never had Malort, one, don't. But two, Malort is this liquor. It's not even from Chicago, but somehow it's associated with Chicago. But the best way I've heard it described is if you order somebody else a shot of Malort, not yourself, you just send it to somebody else, you have unfriended them in real life. However, if you order two shots of Malort, one for you and one for them, you all are best friends for life.
Definitely is a trauma bonding experience.
So the race area, everything, there's food there. There's food along the finish area. There's these Stan's Donuts, which is a local thing to Chicago. They have like a mini donut. They have Stan's Donuts. I believe they have some cookies. They have a few other small treats. And then everything else, I believe, is for sale. Yes?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Ticket. You have a beer ticket.
That's right.
You do have a beer ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to.
I was gifted a couple.
I don't want to say anything bad about their beers, but I've.
Oh,
you're a beer snob, though.
Yeah. I am.
They've got to serve to the masses.
Yeah. I mean, knuckle up. Get some 8% in you at least. I think
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. You know that. How many pounds do you weigh? How many pounds do I weigh, man? Oh my God.
I think I am two of you probably. Um, I will say I think it might be because I know it in Chicago. As you finish, you have a finishing beer, which is a Goose Allen. It's a pilsner or an ale. It's like a 4.2 or 4.5, that range of ABV. So it's a nice lighter beer, and they give it to you between the finish line and the exit of the area, and it's a nice beer, and it tastes even better because you're at Chicago and you just finished a marathon, and it says on it something in nature to the marathon.
Right.
So I mean, by all means, enjoy your beer, kick back, relax, have a good time. Uh, just know that I am going to be going to Hubbard's Cave, possibly Revolution, and we're going to be having something a little bit uh, different. We'll just say different.
Right. So, you know
So,
what was interesting about this particular race, including like the Chicago Marathon, which we kind of keep comparing the two of them. This is like a little mini Chicago Marathon because there was so many languages being spoken, so many age ranges, and so many like levels of capability and personalities, all in this one pace group too. I mean, this was just of 40 people of thousands that we experienced. It was incredible. So, they're making beer for the masses.
so Melinda, you being a little bit newer, but also being your birthday weekend, how did you celebrate this race?
How guys, this race. Honestly, I we went to my one of my friends, like she's from Wisconsin, and her family like drove down and they took us to her brother works at like a brewery and they took us there afterwards. And we just had a beer afterwards. But honestly, like I don't know, my family isn't in the area. Like I don't think I really celebrated much. I sort of just, went to work on Monday and I was like, well, this was fun.
But you also PR'd, right?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, like this is I mean, I feel like I just have to thank Janelle for that because my the preface is that I always say like I'm like the worst runner in the sense that I don't train properly at all. I don't fuel properly at all. I didn't, like I said, I forgot about the race until they started sending me emails 2 weeks before and I was like, damn, I have that thing. Um and then my taper was I just didn't run the day before and I was like, oh yeah, this should be good, right? And I had literally the only other half that I ran a 2:02, but that was in China and it was like pretty high. Like, I mean, the elevation was not a lot, but it was like definitely a lot more than this. And so that was kind of that was the only benchmark I had. And I was like, I could definitely break two. And then my friend, like my couple of friends that I registered with, I knew that their pace was like quite slower than mine. So I was like, oh, like, should I just like chill and, run with them or should I try and PR? And then I think like literally like right as we started, I was like, you know what? Like I'm just gonna send it. Like, I already spent the money. I'm already here. And then I was like, I know that I could break two, like, 150 seems about right. I'll just stick with them until I fade eventually. And I felt fine the entire time. Like, just truly no game plan. Just, I got there and I was like, all right, we're doing this now. No, I feel like I'm not, this is my experience, but not thing that I would advise other people to do. Like,
It is really the beauty of like having youth on your side and like not overuse injuries. Like, so Miguel, her background is I would say it as like semi, not pro, but like semi serious golfing. And so,
yeah, like completely unrelated.
What?
yeah. So but she has the mindset of an athlete. So she knows exactly what has to happen. And that's why I'll be honest, that's just exactly, you didn't put the training into it, but you're so young and healthy that your body is like, okay, I'll show up.
Yeah, but so I think running is also one of those things that's like you just have to trust that like your fitness is there, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna you're not really gonna run like a unless you time trial in training. Like nothing you run in training is really gonna simulate the right thing. And so you're just like, I think that I'm like in that athleticism perspective, I think I'm pretty good at like estimating like where my fitness is at just from being like an athlete for like my entire life. Um,
Absolutely. And she has a heart of an athlete. Like I don't know how, but like it was like bing magnets. It was
Okay.
very cool.
So now, Janelle, what shoes do you run in on a regular basis? Not necessarily this particular race, but in training and in racing.
Hmm.
What shoes do you run in?
So, and we actually, Melinda and I just talked about this. I will train. My preferred shoe right now is the Ultra Olympia. And for me, those are wider in the toe box because I'm considered maybe older runner now. I'm getting bunions and like just have these sexy little feet now.
Hmm.
And so they just need space.
Okay.
So the wider toe box is definitely needed for me. And because I was for a time increasing my distance, I really needed extra cushion. And I found that a lot of running shoes are a little narrow and don't have a tall toe box. So uh, so to be clear, when I run the Chicago Marathon for the Nike Pace team, I wear the Nike Alpha Flies, and I only use those for racing. And then for regular runs, trail runs, I have a different variety of ultras that I wear. And there was a while where I was a Nike product tester, and so I was able to kind of roll those out and basically save my shoes and not have to utilize, whatever. So it saved me money. That's what I was about.
Yes. Melinda, what about yourself?
so my everyday like trainers are I'm currently in the A6 Gel Nimbus 27. This is like my third pair that I just got. I actually went literally like when I got back to California like a week ago. I went to the because I had put like 400 miles on my previous ones. I went to the running store, um, and I tried on like a bunch of different like trainers, but then I ended up settling for the one that I already had, and I was like, I got it right actually the first time. Um, and for the race, I ran in the Mizuno Neo Vista, the first edit. I believe they just came out with a new version, but I had the like previous version.
Okay. And I run in Mizuno Horizon Wave, Asics Glycerin Wide, Brooks Adrenaline GTS, Hoka Gaviota, whatever version they're on now, New Balance 1340V, whatever version they're on at the time. That's what I run in. Melinda, what watch are you rocking? What?
Oh, I'm not wearing it right now, but I have a Garmin Forerunner 955 and I have the tan. Wait, let's see. But I have
I can see it.
yeah, I have the Garmin Forerunner 955.
Then
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Janelle, what do you it looks like Phoenix 5X or thick.
Yeah, I had been using the Phoenix for quite some time. I had two different versions, but I moved to the Venu. I don't maybe I'm saying it wrong, but the Garmin Venu or Venu. And that has been really cool because it's actually touch activated and I can even answer a phone call and I can pair my Spotify to it and use Bluetooth. So it's interesting because, for my runner friends, it is less expensive and I find it also has the triathlon mode, so and the endurance mode, so you can still do everything you do with the Phoenix at a lower price. Bing, cha-ching.
I have the Garmin 965 is what I'm wearing now, and I have the
Wow.
6X on my counter. Um, I quit wearing my 6X mainly because I wanted I like the watch face of the 965. The 965 has more color. I think it's like 5,600 colors versus 65 colors. So it's more vivid, it's brighter, it's more vibrant. The map feature The map looks different. I just like the way the map looks,
Mhm.
and then it has dual band GPS. Other than that, the reason why I asked these two questions about the shoes and about the watch is because it doesn't make you any faster. My watch costs more than Melinda's and Janelle's, and my other watch definitely costs more, and it's just sitting on a shelf now, and they are faster than I am. Now, here at How Was the Race, we don't care about your time. Well, we congratulate PRs. Let me not, I'm not trying to discount PRs. That is not what I'm trying to do. But overall, within this community, we are not looking down on anybody for their particular time, however long it takes you to get from mile 0 to mile 26.2. It doesn't matter how long it took you to get there. It's the fact that you did get there. And that's what we are celebrating, and that's what we're discussing, and that's what we are doing. We're not trying to talk about how to get fast. We're not trying to talk about anything of that nature. But on one of the other episodes, Brandon, he was on the Heartland series interview. He rocks a cell phone. Now, granted, he's on the 5K, 10K journey. He's not on the half full journey yet. However, as a pacer, I have met people who have ran half marathons, and I can't recall off the top of my head people who ran fulls just using their phones. So you can download, I believe Strava is one of them, and I think there's one from, oh shucks, there's others out there. I will say
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Nike Run Club is also pretty like my friend that I ran San Francisco Marathon with, she didn't have a watch because she doesn't want the tan line. That's her no, that's like literally the reason she gave me. But she did Nike Run Club.
okay, so yeah, so you don't need these devices and everything like that. You need, as Jill in the Eugene Marathon, the way she put it, you need good pair of shoes and a positive attitude. That's the two
Yeah.
things you need to run a race. Everything else, it makes the race more comfortable if you have nice shirt and nice shorts and blah blah blah. But I've met people who ran a marathon in cotton socks. I remember that fella. We were at the Blue Ridge Mountain Marathon, Roanoke, Virginia, 2021, and he was running wearing cotton socks, jogging pants, a white T-shirt, and a basketball jersey on top of that.
Oh my
And
God, so that's nothing. When I ran the 40K in China, the guy who was in front of me the entire time was wearing Air Forces and jeans. And
Oh my God.
he was smoking a proper cigarette the entire time.
was he in the race, or was he just hiking? Was he just
He was
hiking?
100% in the race. No, 100. And what was funny was that he was like, we were basically running the same pace. He was in front of me the entire time.
Yeah.
And like every couple miles, he would stop to roll up his jeans because they would kept falling, and then he would
Oh
just
my
keep
God.
going. And I'm like, did you know you were doing this today? Like, what? Why would you? What is going on?
He was on his way
I
to
was looking at him
Target.
like his smoke was. I was inhaling secondhand smoke. I was like, can you not like? So yeah, you 100% do not need like. He did it in Air Forces.
And that is the whole thing with running. It's like the most socioeconomically friendly sport out there. Like I know soccer is a great group one too. You just need a ball and shoes. This, you just need a pair of shoes. Literally. Like you can run in jeans apparently.
Yeah.
And
So-
I remember my first 5K in Lincolnwood, Illinois here. I was wearing my ex-husband's t-shirt, some like cut off old sweatpants, and like I looked like I rolled out of bed. I don't even think I had real running shoes. I may have just been wearing Converse. And there were all these people around me like with these like matching outfits and like makeup and like cute like flower bows, and I was like, wow, they look like pros. Oh my God, what am I doing here? And then like I beat them and I was like, oh my God.
To be honest, I think like the like more ratchet your outfit is, like the better runner you likely are. Like I follow a lot of like cross country people on social media, and they like kind of make fun of like the 5K runners who pull up in their like they pull up with their what is it, like their hydration pack and their Alpha Flies for their park run.
Yeah.
And they talk about just wearing their like high school like spandex or whatever.
But I think about stuff like that and I think, you know what? At least they're out there doing what they, doing something healthy. And you know what? I've had that where like I don't want to swim. For example, with during my triathlon days, I don't want to swim. So what do? I buy a really fun, expensive bathing suit, and that makes me have to swim. So I'm sure there's got to be some reasoning in there too for that.
They're probably, oh gosh, yes. There was one, I was trying to look up her book. I couldn't find it quickly. However, she ran for Nike, and she was sponsored by Nike at the time. And she found a 5K because the way that her contract worked, she had to run a certain amount of sanctioned events by USATF, blah 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 blah. And she did show up to a few events where because she was several months pregnant, so
Mm.
she couldn't train properly for the she couldn't train properly for her level of competition
Hmm.
for the marathon or the half marathon. However, she showed up and her and another runner found a 5K that was USATF sanctioned and met the qualifications. However, they also had not only did she have to compete in USATF events, she had to wear her sponsored event, like her sponsored clothing. So her and this other woman, both pregnant, showed up in full kit, and they're it was just it was now granted these were very unique individuals. These are not your average person who works a 9 to 5 at the local wherever business office or whatever and just bought the outfit. uh,
Hmm.
Me personally, I like to go through my if I get to run and pick my own clothing, because as a pacer we normally have a pacer shirt we have to wear, but I'll go through and I'm like, oh man, do I want to wear my Derby Marathon shirt from 2017? Do I want to wear my Monumental shirt from 19? Or do I want to wear, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to the West Coast, so I got to represent, you got to, it's a weird thing. Apparently, people do that for concerts as well.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
you can't wear the last tour concert. You got to wear tour concert from a few years ago. That way
Right.
you show you're old school.
Right. Are you legit or what? Like, tell me.
Exactly. But get out there, have a great time. Melinda, would you run this race again?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had a great time. And also it's like I feel like it's a great race like PR just because it's like so flat.
Awesome. Janelle, you've ran this race just twice or three
Just
times?
twice. Just twice.
Okay. Uh, are you looking forward to 2026?
Definitely. Definitely. It's lines up perfectly with training and swag is good. I don't know. The people are awesome.
It is a great time. I love going up there. I need to requalify for 26. There's a competition thing at work that 1 year, whatever, we won't get in that. But either way, I do plan on running this race again myself. It's a
Good.
great
Well,
race.
you got a place to stay if you need
Nice. And
it.
it's so close to Hubbard's Cave.
I know.
So um okay, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here because otherwise this will get to a session among friends and new friends and old friends. But so Melinda, is there anything that you would like to say? Anything, yeah, anything you would like to put on the end of this?
I feel like I would kind of just like reiterate the point that we were talking about like gear and just like the barrier to entry for running truly is like very low. But I think like with social media and sort of like the running like hype these days, we think it's like a lot more intimidating than it is. Like, I see like a lot of people, like talking about buying all these expensive gels, buying their like running belts, different clothes, like whatever, like what and I was talking about like I am truly just like someone who just kind of I just send it. And like um not even just like your gear, but also like in training, I think that like when they sign up for a marathon, they're like, oh, I need to start this like training plan. And like there's Runna was just acquired by Strava. A lot of my friends are on that now. And then like people go from like, not really running to like suddenly interval training and doing all this stuff. And they're like, I gotta run like X number of miles a week. And I don't know. I feel like I'm always someone who's like, it's just not that deep, like none of us are Olympians here. Like when I mean like I've been running like most of my life, I truly like I used to play golf like competitively, but I would just take my Converse and like run around the block. Like truly just like in shoes that were not made for running whatsoever. And I think when I ran my like just first like 12 miles just like on like a training, it was like this pair of Skechers that I got from TJ Maxx. And that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like truly running is so simple, and I tell people this all the time. I'm just like, you just go and then you don't stop. Like it literally is that simple. I think people really overcomplicate it, especially with social media these days. And I think like that is probably like my biggest takeaway.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. That's really great. I mean, the information there, especially with the runner, with the logs or the training platform, having the shoes you have, that's really great. I really do. I think that's really great. Janelle, is there anything you'd like to add?
I too really like Melinda's perspective. Again, on the spectrum of expenses, running is the least expensive and probably the healthiest that you could do, the most accessible, the easiest. I will say I was guilty of purchasing really inexpensive shoes and now regret it, hence the bunions. So I think the feet health are probably undervalued. Fashion is definitely highly valued, but I think we need to talk about more of like long-term running. What does that look like? And like you had mentioned, Melinda, how many miles you had on your shoes. You already had 400. You knew you needed to get a new pair, and fresh shoes just go like solve so many things. So I would say that, as far as running, that's a big deal. But as far as this race is concerned, I would suggest it to anyone coming for a visit for the weekend to Chicago, anyone who lives in Chicago and hasn't been over the West Side, like absolutely, hands down, you'll be among friends.
I want to thank both of you all for coming on. Melinda, Janelle, both of you, I really enjoyed our time together. I enjoyed having both of you all on. In the show notes, I'll have links for the Chicago 13-1. It's just a generic registration. You can Google it yourself, but I also put the links in there. There are show notes for every episode. The links and the registration for all races will be in there for myself. As always, I just want to remind everybody that to run the race you are in, and forward is a pace.